What's an injury you sustained and lied about how it actually happened because it was too embarrassing? I once semi-dislocated my kneecap in such a way that my leg locked up and I was in incredible pain by sitting down to eat at the dinner table and twisting my leg somehow. I hurt myself sitting down. Instead I told my friends I had fallen down a steep hill on the local heathland, but my brother told them the truth and I was promptly mocked. I was removing facial hair using a remover cream. I ended up leaving it on for too long, which caused burns. I told people I dropped hot noodles on my face. I was once buttering toast with my face really close to it. I like my butter to be spread precisely. Then I sneezed and slammed my head on the counter, effectively knocking myself out, and had to go to the ER to be treated for a concussion. I once fell out of bed and cracked my head open on a metal frame. Blood everywhere. Visit. Stitches, etc. I was about 6 years old. I still have the scar decades later. My mother literally changed our beds, even though we really couldn't afford it to safer ones. The truth is, I didn't want to go to bed, so I flung myself out of bed to pretend to be hurt and maybe get to stay up for a short while longer. I got surgery a few years ago on my knees as I had dislodged some loose cartilage in the joint and also torn a bit of my meniscus. At the time I was playing a ton of ultimate frisbee, so I just told people it was that. It actually happened when I was getting up from a chair. I got a black eye as a kid. I slipped and fell into the support beam of my basketball rim. My dad made me lie to my other family members and say I got it defending some kids at school. He was pretty embarrassed at how terrible I was at basketball, lol. I have a 1.5 inch stab wound scar on my left bicep. When I was younger and attractive girls asked me how it happened, I would tell them it happened a fight where someone pulled a knife on me. Actually, I worked in a butcher shop of a market when I was in my late teens. Part of my job was to collect all the carving knives from the prep area, put into a large plastic bin, and carry them behind the deli case to the kitchen to wash. One time coming back out of the kitchen, I failed to notice that someone had opened the trapdoor to the basement in my direct path. While I was in the kitchen, the plastic bin obscured my view. I took one fateful step opposite to the stairs side and tumbled into the basement, with the contents of the bin raining down around me. Somehow I escaped with only a twisted ankle and the aforementioned stab wound in my arm, for which I had to go to the ER for stitches. I'll always remember being dazed, sitting at the bottom of the stairs looking up and seeing a meat cleaver embedded in one of the steps. Fully took off my nail while playing football. I said, was playing sport. Just an intense game of sword fighting on Wii Sport Resort, and slammed my hand really hard on a table. I cut my thumb with an axe. The cut was almost to the bone. I never told anyone because I was told not to play with the axe. This is when I was 6 years old. I have a scar that crossed my left eyebrow. It looks badass, and I made it during a fight against a man with a knife. At least that is what I tell everybody, because saying my PS2 fell on my face cause I tried to lift it while not paying attention may be too stupid. I once gave myself a black eye trying to move one of those heavy boxes / containers of cat litter. I leaned over to pick it up, and unbeknownst to me, it was actually empty instead of the full 35 pounds I was expecting. Brought it up fast and the corner of the container clocked me in the eye. Thankfully my school and friends know I'm fairly clumsy as it is, so they didn't really bat an eye at it once I assured them it was just my clumsiness. A fun tidbit. I've lived in the same house since I was born and had fallen down the same stairs. I literally learned how to stairs on over 25 times in my life. I'm 18, almost 19 now. I once punched a bowling ball because I was frustrated. It turns out bowling balls are pretty hard. Broke my hand. It was swollen and bloody. Told my boss at work I slammed my hand in a door. It's still broken. This was like 6 months ago. Got drunk. Fell on my face on pavement. Said the huge gash on my forehead down to my cheek was from rugby. To be fair, it was during a rugby social. I broke my toe running from a bee. I'm a huge weenie about stingy bugs, so when a bee got in my hair I freaked out. I ran toward the house, lost my balance, kicked the concrete step of mum's porch and fell backwards. Mom was sitting on the porch and I accidentally backhanded her before crashing to the ground. She was laughing so hard she couldn't help me up. And I was laughing so hard I couldn't get up. I was super embarrassed for a while and just told everyone I tripped. I got over the shame because it was pretty fucking funny. So I don't lie about it anymore. I have these really ugly shoes that I wear around the house that my husband absolutely hates. I was taking laundry down the stairs and I fell down the stairs because of the shoes. I couldn't tell him that because then he will be correct that my shoes are stupid. So I told him that the dog ran between my legs and made me fall. Was drunk walking home at 4 AM. Crossed a few train tracks and came across a 2-meter high fences with tiny cylinders on top. I make the jump because I think I can. I fall. After standing up, worrying about my back pain, I looked at my arm. My arm was completely torn open, covered in blood because it got stuck on the fence. I came into the ER. The nurse says she'd seen shark bites before in Australia, and this looked worse. I had 49 stitches and now have a scar from a shark bite. Haha. A scar across my forehead. I got it from my head on a fen as a child. And it's still kind of there. I always just say that my cat scratched me and it went pretty deep. Therefore the reason it's still there. I haven't exactly lied about it, but depending on who I'm talking to, I have been leaving out some important details. I got my wife an electric scooter for her birthday. The day she got it, we went out for a ride. I was on my electric skateboard. It had recently rained a bit, so the pavement was a little wet, but not too bad as long as you were careful. I got the idea to pretend to fart and get a speed boost from it. So I made a farting sound and totally gunned it. Since the pavement was damp, my board slid out from under me and I went down directly in front of my wife. She didn't have time to stop, so she also fell. We both got some scrapes and bruises. Unfortunately, she got it worse than I did. When telling the story, I've left out the fart boost part. If it's someone I'm not really close to. I got a 2nd degree burn on my butt cheeks. My friends let it slip during a dinner with my mom. I had to quickly lie and say I was taking a bath and didn't check the water because every human gets in the bathtub butt first. I really got the injury from pouring oatmeal which hadn't cooled down into the back of a diaper I was wearing. I've been waiting 25 years for this moment. As a 10 years old boy, my friend had a mini hoop on his closet or in his room. We would always shoot the ball while playing Super Nintendo or whatever. One day we started shooting and then had a real one-on-one game with dribbling, scorekeeping, etc. I went for a dunk and didn't realize the closet door knob was missing and it was just jagged metal jutting out of the door. I remember looking down and seeing my shorts torn open and a bloody gash, and I was in shock. The cut was inches from my man parts. This was a close one. It wasn't bleeding a ton and I could see fat and other strange shit. It was a couple inches long and I was a fucking idiot 10 years old, so I got a bunch of bandages from his house and limped home. Neosporin and bandages for weeks until it healed. Never told my parents. Not sure why. I have a visible scar to this day. I was having some trouble with my heart a few months ago that caused dizziness and occasional fainting. Passed out while in the shower and sprained my wrist. Told my coworkers it was a workout injury because I passed out in the shower was a visual I didn't want to give everyone. Finally, a story I can share. I was playing football, soccer, with a bunch of friends. I was 12. Since we were all still school kids, one team was usually gonna steamroll the other. On this occasion, I happened to be the keeper on the winning team. So I had nothing to do, and I was really bored. I decided it was a good time to do some pull-ups. So I grabbed the crossbar of the goalpost and pulled myself up. Once I was on top, I stuck out my legs for fun and got them stuck in the net. I ended up falling to the ground and I stuck out my hands to prevent myself from breaking my tailbone. I eventually found out that I'd broken my left wrist, with one of the bones inside the wrist being pushed out of position and slightly fractured. What I told my parents, and the doctor too lol, was that I was running after the ball and tripped over something, thus causing me to fall face first and break my wrist.